and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jewel Exchange with Spit Gems. Today's guest is an MC, producer, musician trained in music theory, and a deep well of knowledge concerning frequency and the art of sound. My brother, Nohokai.
Appreciate you having me on, brother.
No doubt, brother. Appreciate you taking the time. I know that you are constantly busy working on music, because we speak quite often, and it's always something new. It's always something new.
Yeah, I'm always trying to stay busy in here, bro. It kind of drives my girl nuts sometimes, but you know what I mean? I just do it as much as I can before I get rousted.
It's part of the game, brother.
Yeah.
So, but I guess we could start. Why don't you start first off and just let the people know a little bit about your beginnings in hip hop, your upbringing, where you come from, and how you got to where you at now.
Yeah, man. Well, as I told you, I was born and raised in Hawaii. So we didn't really have much out over there. There was not really like a hip hop scene out over there. And, um, I used to be a metalhead, skateboard metalhead. No, I didn't even
Wow.
really fuck with hip hop before because there wasn't any good shit out in Hawaii. You'd heard of like Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg or like Tupac or some shit. But
You would say you didn't exactly have access to the kind of hip hop.
no, exactly. And the very first time I really started getting into it, I think I might have told you before, but I walked into this store called Melikai Music in Kona. And, it was just like a CD store. And I used to buy all my piano books from there to take to my piano class, and I'd get like a gold star if I perfected the song from my teacher, Connie Fletcher. Rest in peace to her.
Rest in
Um,
peace, Connie Fletcher.
and one day I was just like scheming through CDs, just looking at like if I wanted to buy something, I came across the 36 Chambers album and I literally just bought it because it looked cool. And it ended up being
Mm.
some like the dopest shit of all time. And
Possibly the possibly
from
the dopest album of all
Yeah,
time.
exactly. And from then on, then me and all my skate homies used to just really dive deep into the hip hop shit after that. It was like we started discovering all the other Wu Tang shit, and we had this one buddy Zach Dillard that lived out here in Tahoe, and he turned us on to so much Wu Tang shit that we'd never heard of. It was crazy back then. The Ghostface album,
All the extended groups, and then all the
yeah,
individual
Killer Army,
albums.
fucking yeah, all that shit.
Once you tapped into Wu Tang, it was a whole universe
Yeah,
within
it was just like
itself
a
because
whole
of
plethora
all the
of shit.
chambers.
Yeah. Yeah, Wu-Tang,
Indeed.
man, that was like some big inspiration in hip hop, like growing up. I always used to want to make beats like the RZA. When I heard his beats, man, I was just always like, he always had so much
One of the
soul in his
illest.
his samples that he used. I don't really know the beat machines that he used to use. I probably should, but I think I think he might have
Rolling.
used, what's that?
I know he had some rolling at one time
Yeah,
that he used to
exactly.
speak
That's
about
what
a
I wanted
lot.
to say. Some rolling, like there was a minute where I was like, I didn't like any West Coast rap, and then I didn't even used to like Tupac, to be honest. It was just like I think it was just the N word every other word and things. I wanted to hear things that sounded smart to me, But then after becoming an MC myself and realizing what it takes to be an MC, not anybody can just sit in their studio and write a rap, and record it on the mic, but like going out and playing all these crazy shows and inspiring so many people around the world was just
Indeed.
it, I didn't even really realize that until I tried to do it myself, and I was like, wow, this shit this dude did was incredible,
Hell yeah. Legendary.
Yeah, so sometimes you don't really appreciate things until you really dive deep into where it came from. Tupac
So
was
at this time when you come into contact with the Wu and you start listening to this different kind of music, it's all brand new for you, I imagine. Um, Hawaii is heavily influenced by West Coast sound. Is that what's prevalent in Hawaii?
um kind of, yeah. I mean, growing up there, everybody was like into Tupac, and I guess Biggie too. Everybody liked Biggie too. I remember being in high
So it
school
was
and
more of just what was more mainstream or commercially available is what was
exactly,
prevalent.
exactly. And I remember my buddy Naveed from New York. He moved out to Hawaii who ended up being like one of my best homies. We were in a crew together called the Leftovers, and uh, he turned me on to a lot of that shit, bro. Like Helta Skelta, Sean Price, all that shit, and it was like that's all I used to bump. We'd be driving around like 5, 6 deep in this little ass car, my buddy Zach's car, and just fucking bumping Wu Tang and all this shit all day long, fucking driving around skating, being drunk idiots. We had
The
fun though.
good times.
Yeah, that shit was fun.
So at what point? At what point does this influence? You say you were in a group at some point during this
Yeah,
time called.
we had a group out over there called Kamehameha Projects. Kamehameha is the king of Hawaii, King Kamehameha, and my buddy Brandon, who's a Hawaiian brother, he was like, "Yo, we should make our rap group Kamehameha Projects because we're from Kailua Kona, where King Kamehameha was from." So we were like,
Okay.
I was like, "Yo, I'm down with that." You know what I mean? It made sense. So we used to run the Kamehameha Projects.
And at this
Shit.
time, you're a part of this group. You're rapping.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not making beats yet.
No, I was making beats. That's actually I started off making beats. My buddy Seth
Okay.
Migliori goes by Seti. He didn't realize I played piano one night, and we got all fucked up over at my house in Kona. And we have this other house that we'd caretake, and over there was like this $50,000 grand piano, right?
Mm.
So we'd go over there and we'd be all fucked up. I'd start playing the piano, and my buddy Seth was like, "Yo, you didn't tell me you played piano, bro. Like, what the fuck?" He's like, "We got to go make some beats in my studio." He's like, "You've known I had a studio. What the fuck you been doing?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't
So,
like this." I
so
was
where does this
forced.
classical piano training come from?
Well, my parents forced me into doing it. I used to hate it because I was being forced. I always wanted to just go skateboard. I'm like, fuck this. But then my dad started going, "Look, if you get a gold star on any of these pieces, I'll give you $50 per song." And then I was like, okay. So I started getting all these gold stars from my teacher, Connie Fletcher. And she was just like a straight classical teacher. She didn't really teach me any kind of like jazz or anything. So I was just like a straight classical pianist. And, after my buddy discovered that I could play, he was like, "Dude, we got to go make some beats." So we went right to his studio, and I just started playing some piano lines, and he recorded it and like put some drums behind it. And then,
A bomb went off.
yeah, and then the rest is history. But I started off on this program called Reason. It was like Reason 2.0 back then. I think it's like Reason 13. As a matter of fact, I was just
Back in the
opening.
day.
Yeah, I've just been opening up this program again because I was like, man, I want to see what this Reason's all about now, because now they
Yeah.
finally let VSTs go in there. So I'm like, oh, I'm
Got a
gonna go back
revamp
over some
going.
shit, because like machine, there's so much to it, and I love it. But sometimes there's like other shit and other programs that do things better than the machine, like such as like an NPC does this thing, and then a machine does this thing, and then Reason does that. You know,
Indeed. Different tools for different jobs.
yeah, I kind of
Undoubtedly.
want to just like know all this shit. So if I go to any studio and like, yo, we got this here, I know how to use it. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to open up Ableton again. I just came across this homie who does the FL shit, so I'm gonna be chopping it up with him on the FL stuff as well. But right now, it's just mainly machine.
No doubt. No doubt. So your early beginnings, this starts in Hawaii.
Yep.
You're part of a group. You guys recording demos, I imagine, putting joints together. At some point you move to the States.
Yep. Yeah.
And
In
you go directly to Cali?
yeah, I went directly to Cali. It was 2009. I moved out over here. I was living on Maui, and Maui was beautiful, but it was like boring. You know what I mean? It's like you can only drive in a circle so many times before you're like, okay, I got to get out of here and go see what else there is out here. I was doing the whole like go sit at the beach and drink beer and surf all the time shit. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is in Hawaii. Like
Living the dream.
you can get away with being a beach bum in Hawaii. You know what I mean? But I always was trying to see something bigger for myself. So, I just jumped on a plane, came out over here, and started working with my homie out over here that used to couch surf for me, my buddy Zach Brown. Shout out to Zach. uh, but yeah, he brought me out here.
Zach was an MC?
He used to rap a little bit too. Like we had him on a couple tracks back in the day. He didn't really do it much, but once in a while he would. He was decent at it too. And I came out here to work for him, and I just never went back. I've been out here 16 years now. Since 4th of July 2009, I moved here. So yeah, just recently 16 years. But that went by so crazily fast. I'm like, I feel like I still
Right.
kind of just got here a few years ago. And
Yeah.
it's like I'm
No.
like fucking COVID was 5 years ago, and I'm like, what the
Speaking of
crazy.
speaking of during that time in 2020, you released a project called Mixed Emotions.
Yep.
Um, Talk to us a little bit about this project. This is all your production. You got Nems, you got Chino XL, may he rest in peace. You have R.A. the Rugged Man is on the album. Slaine is on the album. Just a list of dope MCs. Locksmith. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. How did this all come together?
Well, yo, I was always sitting here making beats, and I was always making beats for my friends. They're always like, "Yo, you need to produce for these bigger name guys," and I'm like, "Yeah, and I did really good financially one year, and it was 2019, and I was like, man, this is kind of like a now or never type of thing. Like, if I don't fucking reach out to these people, how are they ever going to hear me? You know what I mean? So I started
So you
reaching
made a
out on
business
Instagram.
decision.
I started reaching out on Instagram and just wrote in the message, paid, paid gig. You know what I mean?
That'll
And
do it.
everybody hit me back, and I was just like, these are all people that I
Indeed.
respected in hip hop, and I felt like deserved that money too. You know what I mean? Because a
Of
lot of
course.
people, they like, I don't want to pay these motherfuckers. I'm like, dude, these people deserved all this shit. I hit a Cool G Rap too, and they wanted a big number, but I mean, I would have paid it, but I had already finished the album, so I was trying to get Cool G Rap too.
Almost had
um
G Rap on Mixed Emotions as well.
yeah, it didn't work out at the time. I kind of wish I would have waited, but I was just like, I had this certain date
Wow.
that I wanted to get it done.
Indeed.
But I just started reaching out to people. Slaine, I think was one of the first people I reached out to. Gift of Gab was on there too. Rest in peace to Gift of
Rest in
Gab.
peace.
Man, I can't believe I got two Rest in Peace on that album now. That's crazy.
Mm.
But yeah, man, Gift of Gab, he was a personal friend of mine. He lived out over here in the Bay, and we used to do some shows together. We went out to Hawaii and toured. Had a sold out show on Maui. We played on
Nice.
Big Island and Oahu too. Um, yeah, Tim, Gift Gab, he was just a super, super humble, cool person. Like,
May he
uh,
rest in peace, brother.
yeah, for sure, man. So, like I said, though, I was just starting to reach out to people. Slaine was the first person I reached out to. Slaine was super cool. Shout out to Slaine. Still talk to him. Um, And then I was just, I think he was probably the first person that I got besides Gift of Gab. Well, Gift of Gab was on there first, and then I went to Slaine, and then I just started bouncing around all these different people. R.A. the Rugged Man, I hooked up through my buddy Brycon. He was friends with him. I guess they went on tour before together. So I was like, yo, can you hit up RA for for me? I'd like to get him on a track, and he came back with a price. We did it. Got
Utilizing the
signed.
resources, putting all the
Yeah,
pieces together.
yeah, and the crazy part was I was starting to put all these beat packs for people together, and I just started sending one at a time because I was like, oh, I'll just send them so they can hear what I can do, and they're like, I like it, and literally the first beat that I sent to every single person ended up being the song. So I was like, okay, I the one I made for RA, I kind of see why he did that. My buddy Brycon was like, yo, he's super super picky, so like make your best shit. And
No doubt.
I just went and I found this horn sample. I can't even remember where I got the horn sample from, but I was like, yo, this is all right here, and he sent me back the vocals. My buddy Starsky mixed that album for me, the Mixed Emotions, though, and he had some co-production in it too. Shout out to my buddy Starsky. He goes by I am Starsky on um Instagram. That guy's like one of my big mixing inspirations too. Like,
The album sounds incredible, man, for sure.
yeah,
Sonically, the
he
album
did his
sounds
thing on
incredible.
that.
And you did
He
your thing on the beats too. You
Yeah,
bodied that
appreciate that.
on the beats, and I like it. I like the range that's in the project. There's a couple different chambers there for sure. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's
and with the star-studded cast of MCs, that's precisely what you need is a
yeah.
wide range of different soundscapes, and you accomplish that, bro. The album is dope,
Yeah,
man.
I
Word.
appreciate it, man. That was a big album for me, and you know, it kind of put me on the map too. You know what I mean? Because then all of a sudden, more people started hearing me, and they're like, "Oh shit, yo!" Now my name's kind of getting thrown around in like the mixing world too.
Paying them dues, man. Paying them dues by putting something. I mean, and it
Exactly.
shows, you know, the incredible taste, you know what I mean, the ear you have for MCs. You know, you chose the list of MCs you chose. You know what I mean? That's a great selection of MCs, you know?
Funny
Cats
story
who've
too.
put
I remember.
tremendous work in.
I appreciate it, man. The funny story was before me and you had worked together. I was talking to can't remember who I was talking. Maybe it was Matt. Oh, it was Matt because I was like, "Yo, dude, I'd like to produce a song for this guy Spit Gems." And then literally 2 days later, Matt sends me your verse on my beat. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna send you this joint right now." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I open it up and it's your verse, and I was like, "Oh shit, I was just talking to you about producing one for this guy."
Came from the grimiest, slimiest type of background. Walking home, every couple steps you kick a crack valve. Gats howl, war-torn buildings from Mac rounds. Yeah. Climbed out with bloody palms and mental fractures. Pray none of my violent expressions have sent you backwards.
There's a prison called religion. Dig it, listen to the wisdom. Inhibited by limits in the system that's insistent on the printed word of wickedness.
Yeah, it was funny how that worked out.
Shout
And
out to
then
Matt Maddox. That's on Year of the Ox.
yeah, one of my best homies, man, is Matt is known Matt a long time. We've been doing music a long time together now. You know, we've been working on this Genghis Complex shit. We're working on part 3 right now. We got 1 and 2 out.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Uh
he's been putting some steady work in lately. Staying
yeah,
consistent, for sure.
yeah.
Both of y'all.
Yeah, man, just trying to stay busy, bro. It's like there was a point where I had stopped smoking weed and I just went on this hiatus of making music. Like I felt like I couldn't make music without smoking, but I didn't want to start
It's,
smoking
it's
again.
an
I was just like,
illusion. It's an illusion of the mind. You know,
yeah,
it's a
bro. And
byproduct of new
again,
beginnings sometimes.
shout out to my boy Starsky. He fucking got on my ass. He's like, yo, you just put out this mixed emotion album. You got some momentum going now, and you just gonna fucking stop? And I was like, bro, I just fucking quit smoking weed and I just have not been feeling it. You know, and he's just like, just get your fucking ass in there, force yourself to go in. He's like, stop being a dumbass and go fucking do this shit every fucking day. So
Right.
ever since he said that to me, it was probably fucking 4 or 5 years ago now. I've just been in here. So I started forcing myself to do this shit, even if I wasn't stoked on what I made that day. I was just like, I'm going to go in here at least an hour a day and just fuck around with the music. And
Right.
lately,
Right.
I'm just like,
Because inspiration many times is fleeting. You know, if you and especially if as an artist, if you're depending on some sort of inspiration to just land on your desk or, you know, fall in your lap, as they say, that's not the most optimal formula to getting better every day. You know, you have to trudge through the moments when
yeah,
there is no
exactly.
inspiration. Create your own inspiration. You know, just force yourself through the motions because if nothing else, you're getting practice.
It's like forcing yourself to go to jujitsu class. You could be sore as hell. You don't feel like working out, but you're going anyway because you know it's going to do you good in the long run. So, you know, sometimes you do have to force it
Yeah.
regardless, you know, if you're not feeling it. It's like just keep going and keep playing around with stuff, you know, keep pushing buttons,
Exploring, trying
exploring,
different
learning.
things.
Exactly.
Try something completely different than what you tried, you know, something you've never done before. That never gets old. Something you've
Yep.
never done before never gets old. You know, if you
Yep.
use that as, I'm gonna write something I've never tried to write before. That you'll never be able to conquer to climb that mountain. There'll always
Yeah,
be something
exactly.
to write about. So, you know, I can relate to that greatly, man, for sure. Shout out to Matt Maddox once again, man. Shout out to Grim Pesci, who you've done a full length project with, correct?
Yeah, it was the EP. Yep.
EP, fully
Yep.
produced by you.
Yep.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. And
called
the name of
it was called
Attrition,
Attrition. Yep.
dope, dope. Shout out to both those brothers, man. Lot of production credits here, man. I wanted to add on, you know, some standout tracks on Mixed Emotions, Golden Goose with Slaine and Right Hook.
Yep.
Slaine killed that, man. The
Yep.
direction that he took on that song, what he's actually talking about, very relatable
Yep.
expression. You know, it's, a lot of people just think they're slick, you know, and see you as an opportunity in a lot of ways, you know, and that's
Yep.
something that unfortunately is just a way of the land in hip hop. The You know,
Yeah.
it's
Very
very rare to
prevalent
come
in
across
this.
people who don't operate like that and don't see things that way.
Yep.
You know, and you may find yourself, you know, with a very small circle if you're not that kind of person. So I thought that whole song was dope. Great work on the production, and Slaine killed it. And the other one is Final Destination is dope with
With your boy
Nems.
Nems. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to my bro Nems, man. Just nasty work on there. He got busy.
Yep.
The standout one for me, undoubtedly, is once again, rest in peace to my bro Chino XL. The track is called Was.
Yep.
That's Chino does not miss.
No, he's wild, bro.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
remember I sent him a little video clip on my phone of the beat, and he's like, "That's it right there." Because I was trying, I heard Chino XL do some double time a couple times, and I was like, man, I'd really like him to do. I wanted to get a couple people doing some double time shit on the album too, so I wasn't just doing strictly boom bap on it. You know, I wanted to
Right.
do whatever I know how to do. So I was like, yo, could I get some double time on this shit? And he's like, shit, nigga, you never heard me double time before? And I was like, that's why I'm asking you for it. And he was like, yo, he sent me back that song, and I was just like, wow. What was one of the lines about Dracula? He's like, count on me like a tattoo of Dracula. He's
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
a wild one, dude. Rest in peace to Chino, man.
One of the
Super
absolute
super cool guy
greatest
too, bro.
ever.
Like, you know, they always say don't meet your heroes, right? You know, because they can freaking just let you down. Chino was not that guy. He was super humble, super
Not
cool.
at all.
Yeah. And
Not at
he
all.
he
Very,
always
very
gave me
down to
credit,
earth.
man. Like I still have like a little voice tag from him big up in me, you know, in my phone.
That's what's
But
up,
yeah,
man.
he was a really cool dude.
He went crazy on that song, man, as he does on everything he touches. Speaking of double time, there's some brothers. It's not particularly my my flow, you know, like something that
Yeah.
I'm particularly drawn to. But there are some brothers who do it so exceptionally well and put so much emphasis in the actual lyrics, you know, the
Yep.
construction of the words, and don't lean on. A lot of times when people use the double time style, there's a lot of filler.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of the same words and is and like and because and then and
Yep.
again and a lot, you know, and it just, that to me is not as impressive as somebody who can fluidly do it and not repetitively use the same material, the same word selections, while still giving you complex metaphors and punchlines and keeping
Yes.
that bounce flow. That is incredible when it's done that way. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
know. And you know, I couldn't even listen to those type of beats before, bro. Like I was like, man, I can't do this because all the people you'd hear on it were so whack. And then I started going like, man, what if somebody like who was dope would spit on these things? And then you start hearing it like, you know, Locksmith, bro, like Locks goes crazy on
Locksmith
those
is
double
another
time
one.
beats. And he just doesn't like waste a bar. You know what I
No,
mean? And
exactly.
he just does it
Exactly.
all the
He's
way through.
he's he's using every bar with that bounce flow, you know, to
Yep.
send home a message. You
Yep.
know, and that's the way that should be utilized, in my opinion, because it,
Absolutely.
whether or not you follow the specific message that's being delivered, the skill, you know, the complexity and the knowledge that it takes, the vocabulary that it takes, the study and the hours that go into it, what it takes to be able to not be repetitive with those repetitive flows, dare I
Yep.
say. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Yep.
that's a great innovation and execution. Shout out to Locksmith, shout out to Chino XL, man.
Yep.
For sure.
You know, it's, you know, the era that we grew up in, it's hard to impress us lyrically, you know what I mean? Just because of all the
Indeed.
shit we grew up on, you know what
Indeed.
I mean? So let me give you your flowers too, bro. Like, I think you're one of the dopest out, you know what I
I
mean?
appreciate
So,
that, brother.
you know, like, I can tell you are very well read. Like, you know, like, there's no bars wasted with you either.
I try to make,
some shit I'll have to Google it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's what I like. I like that shit. You're like, yo, wait, what?
yeah,
You know,
credit to so many MCs, man. Credit to Nas, credit to Wu Tang, um, credit to Tragedy Gaddafi. Just a host
Strategy's
of
great.
MCs whose
Big pun.
vocabulary, big pun, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Uh, natural elements, A Butter, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
A vocabulary that was just impressive, man, and made you want to learn more. It made
Yep.
you, the flex was being able to use so many different words, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And because that increases your potential to be able to express whatever it is you're trying to convey. The
Hey,
more words you have, the more tools, the more weapons you have, the more brilliantly you can express your message. You know what I mean?
and some people don't really. They know a bunch of words and they can put a bunch of pretty rhymes together, but it's not really saying shit. You know what I mean? So big ups to the guys who really have those vocabs and really know how to put a story together to where it makes you really think. Like I
Indeed,
feel like there's a lot of
because
cat in the hat shit
it
out
ain't
there.
just slapping vocabulary together.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
completely removing the poetry. Some people do that. A lot of people do that where it's kind of jumble, a
That's
jumble.
a lot of the double time shit. You know what I mean? A lot of the
Yeah,
double
it's
time guys
similar.
do
It's
that.
similar in that nature. I think what the most important thing for me, especially, is just that that continuity of message, that solidarity of whatever your style is, whatever approach you're using. I think
Yep.
that's what's the most impressive when you're able to do that, and then you add the layer of skills, the layers of complexity, because we're showing off for each other too as MCs and as artists. You
The
know,
competition in hip hop is great. That's why everybody keeps getting so good at it. You know what I mean? Is that's how it used to be in my crew. Everybody would be trying to take each other out. Like you know what I mean?
no
Like,
doubt,
oh, this motherfucker didn't just write that, bro. Fuck that. And then you sit there and you want to pen a way better one than him, and then it just keeps going and going, and you just get better. You just bounce off of each
absolutely.
other and get better and better. That's what I like about the competition in hip hop, man.
Yeah, man,
You
that's
know?
that's that's broken home for sure, man. That's definitely the origin of my upbringing. It was war room shit all the time. Everybody trying to outshine everybody,
Yep.
but with the purest intentions though, hoping we all get better, knowing that collectively we all had to get better in order to really step out further, you know what I'm saying, into certain battle scenarios, because I
Yep.
come from a time when MCs, if we saw each other anywhere, and you were nice and I was nice, it was likely that we would battle.
Battle.
It
Yep.
wasn't staged. It didn't have to be set up. It was just we were gonna see who was nicer right now on the spot.
Yep.
That was an unspoken given, so to say. You know what I mean? But hey man, there's something I really wanted to talk to you about. Some of your lineage, some of your history, just incredible. Your grandmother, Jodie Drake, is a legendary, I mean,
Yep.
Hall of Fame musician.
Yep.
I can rub and scrub till this whole house is shining like a dime. Grease the car, feed the baby, powder face at the same time. Get all dressed up and go out and boogie till 4 a.m. and then lie down at 5, jump up at 6, start all over again. 'Cause I'm a woman, WOMAN. I'll say it again.
Talk to us about this a little bit.
So, yeah, my mom's mom, Jodie Drake, she was a famous jazz singer. I didn't really know too much about her when I was a kid. I knew she was a jazz singer, you know. But as I started to get older, my mom and dad used to always brag about her. You know what I mean? But as a kid, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go skateboard, whatever. You know what I mean? So I didn't really take
That skateboarding was everything to you, huh?
everything, bro. Like I
Indeed,
was doing it
indeed.
12 hours a day. I couldn't get past a buck 65 for my whole life until I stopped. But yeah, man. I think that's why my parents forced me into music because they were like, "This is in your blood. This is your grandmother, like Jazz Hall of Fame." So they were trying to force me into this shit. I'm glad they did. You know, at the time I hated it because I didn't want. I thought piano was kind of whack. Because I'm like, it was
Really?
just, yeah, bro. When I was, because I was into metal. You know, I've told you I was into like heavy metal. I've liked fucking dark shit. So a lot of the pieces that I'd play in piano were dark. You know, a lot of like Bach stuff and uh yeah. And I used to have to do like recitals as a kid. We'd go to this big auditorium and I'd sit there and play for people in a recital and I just hated it, bro. But uh
Great experience, though.
I'm pretty sure that's why my parents forced me, is because who my grandma was. They're like, this is in your blood, you need to do this. And you know, later on I'm stoked that they did force me to do it, but I'm kind of
Right.
pissed at myself that I didn't keep up on my chops. I used to be able to read piano pieces fluently, you know, and now I'm like sitting there like, fuck, I don't, you know, I don't really remember what I'm doing. Now I'm like all by ear, you know.
Right.
I still know all my scales and chords and shit, but before it was more theoretical.
No doubt.
So,
No doubt.
you know, but
But you still get extremely busy on the
yeah,
keys, without a
yep,
doubt. So this, would you feel like your parents knew this is lying dormant inside you? This is in
yep,
your blood. This is in your genetics. This is in your spirit, your soul. It needs to come out. At the time, it needs to be cultivated, right? At the time, your interests were in skateboarding, and heavy
100%.
metal, different kind of instrumentation,
Yep,
but you still got the training as a kid.
yep,
You still got the experience, like you said,
yep.
doing recitals in front of people, getting that
Yep.
out, getting the pressure of playing in front of people, live audiences. When did you when did you start to dive into who your grandmother actually was, and start to, go, whoa,
When
holy.
she moved back to Hawaii, she used to come out and visit us from Canada all the time when we were kids. It was pretty much like every Christmas or whatever, or every couple Christmases. And we went in '92. We went to visit her in Canada, and then we came back, and I think she moved out over there in '98 or '99. Uh, but yeah, after that, I was kind of, when my grandma was around more, I used to just we'd go drinking, and then we'd show up at her house and like raid her house of all her fried chicken she'd cook with my homies. And once I started really getting into the music is when I really started digging into who my grandma was. I didn't even know this documentary that I sent you existed, and I was just Googling her name to find her songs.
The name of the documentary is Bread in My Blues.
Yeah. So I
Incredible
found,
documentary, man. Just
yeah, I
it's
randomly came
it
across
is
that
awe inspiring,
documentary.
man.
I sent it to my mom. I was like, Mom, do you see this documentary of grandma? And she was like, "Oh wow, fucking," I was just trying to find songs, and then my girl found my grandma's record, which is called "I'm a Woman." I don't know
That's
if you
the
can see
LP
that.
that she released in
Yep,
1972, I believe.
yep, and yeah, that was so my my mom didn't even know this existed. I think my mom has it all on tape or whatever, but she didn't know this record existed. My girl found it for me. Shout out to my girl Chrissy for that pretty awesome birthday present. I think it was birthday or Christmas birthday. But I've really been wanting to sample my grandma's record, but I just really want to do it justice. You know what I mean? So I keep
Indeed.
like, I'll make something. I'm like, this sounds cool, but it's just I got to do better. You know what I mean? And
Right.
there's gonna be some point where I just have to buckle down and be like, okay, this is what I'm working with. This is what I'm doing with it.
She
Uh,
was a serious musician and creator. I mean, I watched that documentary, and just one watch through, the first watch through, she's so captivating, bro. Like,
yeah,
watching her work, watching her direct people, how to play her pieces, from when she's, this is how I wanted to range. No,
acting.
this goes here
Yep.
exactly. And her speaking in front of the camera as they're interviewing her, and she's relaying all these stories and experiences. You can tell that this is a brilliant mind and soul, man. She talks about being in the front row at a show, and Duke Ellington and his band are performing. And when they're done performing, she's watching the show, but she's in the very
Yep.
front row. And when they're done performing, they stand up and all bow to her and give her like a, just showing homage to her, how ill she was. You know what I mean?
Man,
And
she had one of the best vocabularies I ever seen too. Like she really knew how her way around words. Like
and at the time of that documentary, she was maybe 70 in her 60s, 70s,
60 or 70,
maybe.
yeah, something like that. I think she died when she was 80.
She is
I have to ask
she
my
is
mama.
so clear of mind, just like me and you are right now, man.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit sharper. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
Just you
Yeah,
can
she was something else, man. Rest in peace to her, man. She died out in Hawaii. She
rest
came
in
out there to
peace,
be
man.
closer to her family before it was too late, and she did just that.
She
She
she led quite the legendary life. I advise everybody, please go check that documentary out. It's called Bread in My Blues. Just a crazy impressive life and musical career, man.
I thought you'd
For sure.
appreciate that documentary, to be honest.
Certainly, bro.
I've sent it to a couple people where I'm like, you would like this.
Yeah,
But
awesome,
yeah, it's
man.
inspiring to know that's, my grandma,
So
you know what I
which
mean?
which leads me to that. How does that make you feel day to day knowing that you literally come from great just great musical ancestry, man?
Bro, I try not to think about it too much because then I don't want to get into like thinking that I'm not living up to what she was. You know what I mean? But I definitely, she's in my wall. I got her band over here. I got her picture of the Absolute Vodka ad she did. I got her record here. So I have her necklace too, which is like a silver necklace with a goat ring that my mom sent me that just chills in here too. I was like, yo, I guess my grandma had some metal to her too. So
No doubt.
that shit just sits in here with me. So yeah, I mean, I come into my studio every day and I see her in here every day. So I'm trying to channel her energy into my studio.
No doubt,
But
man.
if I'm not in here creating or trying to create, it's I'm just gonna start falling behind. So I just try to be in here every single day, whether
Undoubtedly,
it's
you
making
are
a beat, whether it's mixing a record, whether it's spitting a rhyme. I
tried and
ended up.
true, brother. You are one of the hardest working people that I know for sure. You are
I
constantly on one thing or another. And
appreciate that, bro.
speaking of which, man, you just did some work. You did some engineer work, some mixing and mastering on the last three Broken Home homeschool projects. You did
Yep.
Eulogy for the Devil.
Yep.
You handled that. And more than just mixing some creative elements as well on certain tracks. And
Yep.
we absolutely want to give you your flowers for that. I thank you greatly for that, brother. Also, you did some work on And For My Next Trick, A1's latest effort.
Yeah, I think there was maybe 9 or 10 songs I did on there for him.
Indeed.
Uh,
Shout
yeah,
out to A1.
yeah, man. I just I started, when I started fucking with you guys. Like I just heard a bunch of good music that I fuck with heavy. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'd like to have a hand in that and like help these guys get their shit out. You know,
It's
I was like, I
incredible, brother.
know,
You
I know what I'm capable of doing. You know what I mean? It's like it's not on no cocky shit or nothing. I just been doing this a long time now, and I feel like the effort in the studio is starting to show. I bought all this shit for my studio myself because originally I was always relying on people to do shit for me. That's why it was good working with my buddy Starsky, because I'd send him something, he'd have it done at the end of the day. you know that's where I got a lot of my mixing inspirations from. He's kind of a dick sometimes. Like, I'll ask him a question, he'll make me feel stupid, but yeah, he inspires me for the most part. I hope he hears that shit
some of
too.
the
You a
best some of
dickhead,
the
Steve.
best friends do that from time to time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude.
It's just
I'm like,
it's a way of showing love.
I try to not be like that. If I'm like just fucking in the mood with fucking with my homies, sometimes I'll do it. But you know, a
Shout
lot
out
of
to
this shit.
Starsky, man. Shout out to
Yep.
Starsky. And you know, if that's where your inspiration comes from, I guess I owe him to some degree as well, because I've gained a lot of knowledge from you over the last, I don't know, the course of, you know, maybe the last 5, 6 months, something like
Yep.
that. We've built quite a lot. Ran some courses, some classes. You've taught me quite a bit about sound frequency,
Yep.
about how to really approach this with a true understanding. And I appreciate you greatly for that, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. I like
You
I said,
inspired me.
I love
You
doing that shit. So, you know, it's like it's always good for me to have somebody I can talk to with about it, you know what I mean? So
no
the more
doubt.
people that know this shit with me, the more people I have to talk to about it, and we start bouncing off each other, and they learn something today and show me, and I learn something today and show them, and it just becomes this whole fucking domino effect of everybody's learning, you know?
Reciprocal, man. The
Yep.
reciprocation. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And everything improves around you too, man. It's a beautiful thing. But I certainly want to thank you for that. You know, you also inspired me to cop the machine. I started my you know, my beat making journey a few months ago, and you know, I started off on Pro Tools, just basically
Yep.
making beats on Pro Tools, which is insane what I was trying to do, you know, hitting
Yep.
the MIDI, playing chords off of my fucking laptop
Yeah.
keyboard, you know what I'm saying, playing the drums off my keyboard. But you know, you talked me into getting the machine, and I'm forever grateful for that. Thank you for that, you know, because
Yeah,
it's
man.
life
That's like
changing,
because I,
brother.
you know, because I seen you working in Pro Tools, and I was like, man, there's such an easier way to do this, brother. I was like, let's get you on this machine, bro. And you know, I know how to use it, so you know that's why we're always going back and forth. And you know,
No doubt.
I'm sure you'll show me something on here someday that I don't know. You know what I mean?
Indeed, indeed, indeed. It's a goal, man.
Yep.
The work you did on FU's latest release. Let's thank you for that as well. 14 Karat Gold Slum Computer Wizard. You also got a track you produced on there called Fair Warning,
Yep.
featuring myself.
Yep.
Excellent work, man. That beat is nasty. Word.
Appreciate
And
it, bro.
yeah, it was very easy to work with that beat right there.
Yep.
That was instant. You got a
Yeah.
you got a lot of things going on, man. You got some production with Chris Rivers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got a song with Chris Rivers that I haven't put out yet. It's called what is it? Challenge accepted. Chris Rivers, if you hear this, challenge
Nice.
accepted. I got to put that out still.
Fire, fire. Looking forward to that, man. Looking forward to that. Shout out to Chris Rivers, constantly improving and doing the legacy justice. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he's really good, man. Yeah, he's
Indeed.
definitely doing it justice.
Indeed, brother.
Good to see.
Indeed.
Because Pun was one of my biggest inspirations growing up. You know, my buddy, but shout out to my boy Naveed again from New York. He turned me on to Capital Punishment. And I had heard I'm Not a Player before, you know what I mean? But I didn't dig into what Pun was actually doing. And I was like blown away when I heard this Capital Punishment album. I was like,
No
wow.
doubt.
And then I went back to Yeah Baby. I was just like, man, Pun is it. Pun and Black Thought were always like my favorite MCs, like growing up, you know?
Two untouchable pens right there. Un,
Unbelievable.
undoubtedly, and great inspirations in my life as well. Especially with Pun, man. It
Yeah.
was just Pun coming in and the way he did and just destroying everything.
The
Just
tongue twisting and yeah, just
that was
like, yeah.
life changing for me, man.
Yeah.
Literally life changing to see and to experience it in real time. You know,
Yeah. Hey, you
with
hear
some
a lot of
procession.
the you hear a lot of the legendary MCs big up those guys too, you know, like
You
you hear
must.
them talk about Pun and Cool G all the time. You know what I mean? Pun is he's right up. It's crazy that he doesn't get talked about more. You know what I mean? Like I guess he only had 2 albums, but I mean those 2 albums were life changing for me. You know what I mean? It
No
made me
doubt.
rethink my whole way of rapping. I was like crazy, like
And the quality of them is enough to really, it doesn't matter how many albums you may have. You may have 25 albums, you know, that it really means nothing if we put them on the scales, you know what I'm saying? And the
yeah,
2 albums, you know, are
outweigh.
just way heavier than your
Yeah,
25 albums, you know.
exactly.
But it's not about that, you know. Yeah, two of the greatest albums ever recorded. And, you know, even the third one, which I know was just put together, Endangered Species, you know, it still has still
Yeah,
a dope collection of music, man. And If you don't have that, go grab that one too. There's some nasty freestyles on there, and just ill nuggets you might not have in your collection. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
bro. Yo, speaking of Black Thought, all the Root stuff back in the day too. Black Thought was incredible. He got better with time too.
Yeah, I would say Black Thought is still getting better, and
Yeah.
and that's what a real MC does, man.
Yep.
Continuously, it's a forever motion. Improvement is a forever motion. You know what I'm
Cool
saying?
G
So
is a testament to that, bro. Cool G
undoubtedly,
is still just ridiculously holding it down. Better with age.
undoubtedly,
Yep.
nasty work, man. Yo, Noho, we're at about 45 minutes now. Um, my last question to you would be the one that I ask everybody, but I'll give you two of the questions wrapped up in one, right? So it'll be, give us your thoughts on God and religion, and then leave us with one jewel for the people, some that artists, producers, some that they can use on their musical journey.
Yeah, I definitely do believe in God. You know, I it took me some while, but I was always like, I always believed in a higher power. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that I believe like everything inside of the Bible, but I do believe there is a God. And after witnessing all the evil happen over these years, there's no other way to look at it besides good and evil. And I'm trying to be on the side of goodness. I don't know what's going on with all this crazy shit anymore. Um, but it took me some searching, some soul searching. I have one of my best friends. He's a super Christian. You know what I mean? And he just like wishes well for me all the time, prays for me all the time, and he's just one of the best people I know. My buddy Tim Fulkerson. He's just one of the best people I know, and he really opened my mind to a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? And we talk all the time about it. But I'd probably say I used to be an atheist. My family didn't grow up religious at all. They didn't put me in. I'd never even been to a church before until somebody's death. You know what I mean? Um, but I think that religion can be kind of BS sometimes too. You know what I mean? I feel like some people take it a little too far and think they can judge everybody. You know what I mean? But like, there's definitely something to this. I mean, the perfection of the human body. You can't really take a look at like the eye of a human and then think there was not some type of like artistry behind it. You know?
The
So yeah,
complexity, the complexity of it all
yeah,
can't
exactly.
just be given away to chance.
Exactly. There's just too much to this world to believe that we're just here to just die one day and that's it. You know what I mean? So,
No doubt. I'm right on that same page with you, brother. Those are my thoughts. I undoubtedly believe in a higher power. I express this quite often. It's something that's very, very prevalent in my life.
yep,
I don't have a religion, but I pray very religiously, I guess you could say.
yeah,
I wake up and it's the first thing on my mind before I close my eyes. It's the last thing on my mind. These conversations, with God are,
yep.
are are the first and last things I do.
I've been
Um,
very blessed over the years too, bro. So, I can't look at it any other way.
indeed,
you know.
indeed. Well, thank you for that, brother. I appreciate you sharing your perception on that. Give the people one jewel they could use, man. Something that some shining diamond, man, that they could take and apply to their musical career or even to their artistry or creative process.
Study your craft. Look into everything you're doing. Look, try to decipher what every single button does on your thing. Like, really look into what you're doing with your craft. Uh, just stay in it every day. Don't have days off. Just keep going every single day. You will get better if that's what you're looking to do. Or, if you're just looking to just keep doing music, just do that too. Just stay busy. Stay busy. Stay in the studio. Keep creating.
No doubt. Appreciate that greatly, man. That's certainly a jewel. Learn your equipment. Learn the technical terms. of what you're dealing with. You know, learn what everything does, and then you will be able to manipulate it much more beneficially. You know,
Yep.
I appreciate that
And
greatly, Noho.
and if you have a shitty microphone, get a new microphone.
Well said, man. Hey, Noho, I appreciate you taking the time, brother.
Hey, appreciate you having me on, bro. This was fun.
No doubt, man. We'll speak soon, and we got some music on the way for him, bro.
Guaranteed.
I must face a day that I've never encountered before. Yeah, yeah.
Today's the day.